welcome to ESL class. My name is Kimberly and let's get started right away. So today's topic of the day is to do or to make. So we will learn about the difference between the two and when to use either one. So when should you use to do and when should you use to make? So to do is used when we talk about work, jobs, tasks, or it can also be a replacement for obvious verbs. Note that when you use to do, it does not create a physical object. Used to make when a person is creating or producing something, and the thing created can either be a physical thing, an action, or also an emotion. Let's go over an example first. So here it's saying he always blank his homework. In this case, we would use the word does or to do because we're talking about the task of doing homework. Using make in this context wouldn't be correct because he's not creating something new. He's not creating his homework. He's simply doing the homework as a task. So moving on to the first problem, it says it's pretty hard to blank breakfast for 10 people. So here I'll give you 5 seconds to choose your answer. Okay, so the question was asking, it's pretty hard to blank breakfast for 10 people. So the answer would be to make. So it would be, it's pretty hard to make breakfast for 10 people. In this case, you're producing something new, which is breakfast. So this is why we would use to make. Using to do would not make sense because something new is being produced. So by saying it's pretty hard to do breakfast for 10 people would be incorrect because breakfast is not a task. As a general rule of thumb, we usually use to make when we talk about food or meals or drinks, like in this case when we're talking about breakfast. So let's move on to the second problem. My husband is a lawyer and he blank a lot of money. So I'll give you another 5 seconds to choose your answer. Okay, so my husband is a lawyer and he blank a lot of money. So the answer is makes. So my husband is a lawyer and he makes a lot of money. So here it's talking about a lot of money, and it's saying that the husband is producing a physical object, which is money. So this is why we use makes. Saying to do in this sentence would be incorrect because saying that he does a lot of money wouldn't make sense because money isn't a job or a task. So remember, to make is used when we produce or create something, like in this case, when the husband creates or produces money. So moving on to the next one, I have to blank my taxes soon. So I'll give you 5 seconds to answer. Okay, so I have to blank my taxes soon. Right answer is do. So I have to do my taxes soon. This one was a bit trickier because remember we said in the beginning that do is used for work, jobs, and tasks, and it can also be a replacement for obvious verbs. In this case, to do replaces the verb to pay, which is an obvious verb. This is why I use to do instead of to make, because we're not talking about creating taxes, we're talking about paying taxes, but by saying taxes, it's already inferred that we mean to pay, so we can use to do in this case. Again, this one was a bit trickier. Let's move on to the next one. It was pretty easy for me to blank a decision. So same thing again, 5 seconds to answer. Okay, so it was pretty easy for me to blank a decision. The right answer was make. So it was pretty easy for me to make a decision. Here we can see that the sentence is referring to a decision, and this is why we use to make because we're producing or creating a decision. Saying it was pretty easy for me to do a decision would be incorrect because a decision isn't a task. And as a general rule of thumb, to make is also used when we talk about plans or decisions or arrangements, like in this case when we're talking about how easy it was for me to make a decision. Let's move on to the next one. So you should always try to blank your job well. So I'll give you 5 seconds to answer again. Okay, so you should always try to blank your job well. So the answer was do. So you should always try to do your job well. Here, the thing the sentence is referring to is your job. And remember we said before that to do is used for jobs, tasks, and work. So this is why we use do in this case. Saying you should always try to make your job well would be confusing and incorrect because something isn't created. You're not creating your job. You're simply doing it. So moving on to the next one. You blank 3 mistakes on your test. You blank 3 mistakes on your test. So I'll give you 5 seconds to choose which one you think is correct. Okay, so you blank 3 mistakes on your test. The correct answer would be you made 3 mistakes on your test. To make is used in this sentence because it's talking about how 3 mistakes were produced and created on the test. And remember that to make is used when a person creates or produces a physical thing or action or emotion. And in this case, the physical thing created were the 3 mistakes. So saying you did 3 mistakes would be wrong because 3 mistakes aren't a task or a job. Moving on to the next one. I need to go out and blank some shopping. I need to go out and blank some shopping. So again, 5 seconds to answer. Okay, so I need to go out and blank some shopping. The correct answer is do. So I need to go out and do some shopping. Here we're talking about shopping, which is a task. And you always use do when you talk about jobs or tasks, which is why we use do in this case. So saying I need to go out and make some shopping would be incorrect because you're not creating shopping, you're simply doing it as a task. So let's go on to the next one. You need to blank the dishes. You need to blank the dishes. So I'll give you 5 seconds to answer again. Okay, so you need to blank the dishes. The right answer was do. So you need to do the dishes. In this sentence, to do replaces the obvious verb to wash, because when we talk about dishes, it's already implied that we're talking about washing the dishes. So this is why we use to do instead of to make. By saying you need to make the dishes would be grammatically incorrect because you're not producing the dishes or you're not creating them, you're simply washing them, which is implied when you say you need to do the dishes. So last problem of the day. Dogs blank me happy. Dogs blank me happy. So I'll give you 5 seconds to choose which one you think is correct. Okay, so dogs blank me happy. The right answer was make. So dogs make me happy. In this case, Make is used because it's talking about how dogs create or produce a reaction in me. So it's making me happy. So by saying that dogs produce the reaction of happiness, this is why it makes to make correct in this case. By saying dogs do me happy would be strange and would also not make sense because happiness is not a job or a task. So remember, to make is used when we talk about creating or producing something. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care and stay safe.